What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So it's been a while since I've continued with this series, but I want to go ahead and wrap this one up. The top 10 NBA drafts of all time. I want to go ahead and wrap this one up. So, just do a brief recap. At number 10 on my all-time list, I had the 1998 NBA draft. At number 9, the 1999 NBA draft. At number 8, the 2009 NBA draft. At number 7, the 1987 draft. At number 6, the 1970 draft. At number 5, the 1985 draft. At number 4, the 1981 NBA draft. And at number 3, the 2003 NBA draft. At number 2, I have the 1984 NBA draft. Now, for many years, this was considered the number 1 draft. But over time, there's another draft. When you look at the richness of talent, the deepness of talent in that particular draft, it has overtaken the 1984 draft in most people's opinions, and in mine, as number 1 draft. I think you guys know which one that is, but it will be revealed probably tomorrow. So the 1984 draft is best known as the NBA draft that introduced Michael Jordan to the NBA. It was the 37th NBA draft. It was held at the Felt Forum at Madison Square Garden in New York City on June 19th, 1984. In between the 83-84 and 84-85 NBA seasons. This draft is generally considered to be one of the greatest, and in still some people's minds, perhaps the greatest draft in NBA history. This draft had four Hall of Famers drafted in the first 16 picks and 5 overall. These Hall of Famers included, of course, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton. Those were the first 4 in the first 16 picks. In this draft, 23 NBA teams took turns selecting amateur U.S. college basketball players and other eligible players, including international players. The Houston Rockets won the coin flip. This was the last draft that had the coin flip, and were awarded the first overall pick, while the Portland Trail Blazers, who obtained the Pacers' first-round pick in a trade, were awarded the second pick. The remaining first-round picks in the subsequent rounds were assigned to teams in reverse order of their win-loss record in the previous season. The Cavaliers were awarded an extra first-round draft pick as compensation for the draft picks taken away by their previous owner, Ted Stapien. So let's look at this draft. Number 1 was Hakeem, later known as Hakeem Olajuwon, out of Houston. Of course, he and Clyde Drexler formed Phi Slamma Jamma. He and Drexler will be, of course, reunited about a decade later on the Houston Rockets, winning a championship. But Olajuwon was drafted by the Houston Rockets. And, of course, Olajuwon had a Hall of Fame career. And to anybody that watched basketball in the 1990s, we all know that the best center in the league, I'd say from at least 92 to about 97, was unquestionably Hakeem Olajuwon of the Houston Rockets. Great offensive player, great defensive player, always had the ability to raise his game when the stakes were highest, and didn't require a lot of superstar talent around him to win. Number 2 in this draft was a guy that has a reputation for being a bit of a bust, obviously, but I think that's a little bit overstated. And it's because of the circumstances. Sam Bowie was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers. Second overall pick. Now, in hindsight, it looks foolish. How did you not get Michael Jordan and you pick Sam Bowie? But you got to remember, at that particular time, most people thought Michael Jordan was going to be, you know, maybe Michael Finley, Jerry Stackhouse, a very, very good player, a complimentary player that can help you if you already have great talent on your team to maybe be in a championship team, but not a player that can be the cornerstone of a championship, of a franchise, of a championship team. A lot of Michael Jordan's potential was held back in college. Well, not potential, I'd say, but what he could do was being held back by being within the team concept. And also, they already had drafted a guard the year prior in Clyde Drexler. What Portland needed badly was a center. You know, they had been, matter of fact, I'm not mistaken, they had not been blessed with a decent big man, a great big man, since Bill Walton, who had been gone from the franchise for about 6 years by that point. 5 or 6 years. But anyway, look, Sam Bowie played in the NBA for about, 11 years, 12 years. Injury plagued some seasons, yeah. Great big man, no, but he did, he wasn't bad, he wasn't that bad. He wasn't like a bum. I mean, look, let me just look at Sam Bowie's career. Now, one thing that they did do, one thing that he did was he did hide a lot of issues, injury problems, from the Portland Trailblazers when he was drafted. Lied about pain that he was feeling that he didn't want them to know about because he was looking at that money and the opportunity. But look, 10.9 points, 7.5 rebounds, 1.8 blocks. That's not a bum. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but that's not a bum. Okay, let's see if I can look at some of his peak numbers. All right. So from 85 to 92, see if I can get this to pop up. I don't want this video to go too long, so after this, I'm just going to go by names that are familiar to show you why this draft is considered one of the great drafts. And as I'm talking, this thing's not popping up showing, oh my God, man. This always happens when I'm doing a video. Any other time, it pops right up. But because I'm trying to do a video, it want to act stupid. Oh, boy. This damn thing, man. During the 89-90 season, Sam Bowie averaged about 15 and 10 with 2 blocks. Here we go. So from 85 to 92, Sam Bowie, although he did only shoot 43.9% from the floor, he averaged 13.5 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks per game. So, was he great? No. Was he good? Could he be solid? Yeah. What makes it so, the reason why people fixate on it so much is because they could have had Michael fucking Jordan. So that's why people fixated on it a lot. But anyway, third, Michael Jordan, out of North Carolina, drafted by Chicago Bulls. Sam Perkins was fourth in that draft. Played alongside Michael Jordan in North Carolina, drafted by the Dallas Mavericks. Charles Barkley, fifth in the NBA draft, out of Auburn, drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers. Sixth in that draft, Mel Turpin, Now, young people may not be familiar who that is, but he was out of Kentucky, drafted by the Washington Bullets. Mel Turpin. I think Mel Turpin passed away. Might be around 2010. I think. Anyway, at number 7, Alvin Robertson, out of Arkansas, drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. In his second year, he won Defensive Player of the Year. The only player in NBA history to record 300 steals officially in a season. Still holds the record for highest steals average per game in NBA history, at least officially, since steals have been recorded. Next, Lancaster Gordon, out of Louisville, drafted by the Clippers. Ninth is Otis Thorpe, out of Providence, drafted by the Kings. Later on, won a championship with Akeem Olajuwon in Houston. Leon Wood, 10th overall, out of Cal State, drafted by the Sixers. Kevin Willis was in this NBA draft. Kevin Willis, out of Michigan State, drafted by Atlanta Hawks. Kevin Willis, in 1991-92 for the Hawks, he averaged 15.5 rebounds per game. 15.5 rebounds per game. And you would think a guy averaging 15.5 rebounds per game would lead the NBA in rebounding. But he didn't. And it wasn't even close, because the guy that led the league in rebounding was Dennis Rodman, who that year averaged an amazing 18.7 rebounds per contest. Next, Kevin McCormick, out of Michigan, drafted by the Cavaliers. Now we're just going to go down and see certain names. Michael Cage was 14th in that draft, out of San Diego State, drafted by the Clippers. Terrence Stansbury, out of Temple, drafted by the Mavericks. John Stockton, out of Gonzaga, drafted by the Jazz. Vern Fleming, out of Georgia, drafted by the Pacers. Tony Campbell, out of Ohio State, drafted by the Pistons. Let's see. Let's go down. Steve Coulter, out of New Mexico State, drafted by the Portland Trailblazers. I only bring up Steve Coulter because I don't know if you ever remember watching NBA Roundtable, but Isaiah Thomas admitted that was the one guy that he had problems guarding. Like, he could not guard him. he said Steve Coulter had this move. I just couldn't figure it out. But anyway, let me go forward. Let's see who's else in this draft. Jerome Kersey, 46, out of Longwood, drafted by the Portland Trailblazers. Rick Carlisle, out of Virginia, drafted by the Boston Celtics, won a championship the next season with the Boston Celtics. Of course, now he's known as a future Hall of Fame coach. And that might be it. Oscar Schmidt was officially drafted by the Nets out of Brazil, but he did not play in the NBA. Of course, Oscar Schmidt is the all-time leading scorer in international basketball, though that's probably about to be surpassed by LeBron James sometime this year. And that I think that's it. That's it. But that draft was especially top heavy, and in my opinion, I think that's the second greatest draft when you got four Hall of Famers out of the top 16 picks, with Oscar Schmidt altogether as five Hall of Famers in the draft, although Oscar didn't play in the NBA. He has some really good players there as well, and that's my number two overall best draft. I think we kind of got an idea what number one is, and you'll see why that one was number one. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.